Apprentice 2015, Joseph Valente.
It was almost confirmation that I wasn't crazy. I am going to be a billionaire, so I'm spending my time with billionaires. I went from everything to nothing. Within 3 months, I'm making 100 grand a month. I'm back in the game. He said, stay behind. He came over to me, close to my face, and he said, who the fuck do you think you are? Really nasty. In 2.5 years, I was doing £1 million a month.
He is a glowing example of the reason that I do this apprentice process.
When I started the trade mastermind, I was hitting out the message. I sold half my company to a millionaire, and he WhatsApped me. Lord Sugar fucking retweeted it, saying, can't win them all. Yeah. No joke. It was when I saw that tweet, the anger that hit inside hit deep. And it was the best motivation I could have ever asked for. And you know, my next mission is to have my own business show. I want to take out Lord Sugar, and I want to replace it.
So we're here today with Joseph Valente. We're trying to hook this up for a while now, so I'm so glad you're here, man. Cheers for coming through.
No worries,
Thank you, mate.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, just to start off, really, for anyone that hasn't maybe seen you online, most of us have.
Yeah, most people have.
Who are you and what are you about?
Who am I and what am I about? I am a entrepreneur, disruptive entrepreneur. I am a success-driven, obsessed, focused billionaire in the making.
Nice. Love that.
Italian stallion.
So if we take it back to the start, right, you're definitely a bit of a rebel, right, when you were a kid.
I mean, I was, the ultimate rebel, and I think great entrepreneurs are. I think authority is something that we all like to challenge, and I think secretly we have a buzz around challenging that authority, and we enjoy breaking the rules, and, that's what the game is. They're trying to box us, and we're trying to get out the box. If you think in the box, in this day and age, you're only going to go so far. If you think outside the box, that's where the magic happens.
100%. What? So when did it all start? Like the entrepreneurship? I think is it always just been there, or was there a first business where you then kind of got hooked?
I think the entrepreneurship for me was born out of the necessity to acquire money. So when we grew up, my family struggled financially. My dad was a raging alcoholic. Would drink 2, 3, 4 bottles of wine every single night and get absolutely shit-faced. And my mum smoked like a chimney. And my mum worked very low-paying jobs, to try and keep food on the table and keep clothes on the back and, make sure that everything was as safe as it could possibly be. But it was rough. And my family's pain, distress always came back to finances. I used to sense the worry on my mum's face and energy that we were struggling, and my dad was no help. So, but I was a kid that wanted stuff, right? And if I want it now. I don't want to wait. If I want sweets, if I want football stickers, if I want, looking through the catalogs back in the 90s and I saw a toy, I wanted it, right? But I understood very quickly that I couldn't get the money off my mum, so I had to get it from somewhere. So I started to hustle on the playground like a true entrepreneur. One of my first ventures was, do you guys remember the Merlin football stickers?
Yeah, of course.
The Premier League books. Yeah. So I came to realise I used to rock around school with a pack of swaps about that big. And I remember being in the junior section, and I used to rock to the senior section, and I'd go and hustle all the older kids. I'd go up with 1 sticker and come back with 6 for every one. Yeah. And I packaged up these stickers because I had so many swaps like you used to get. You used to get the lower clubs, and you'd always get the shinies. And I think the stickers in the local Happy Shopper were, 25p. So I went home, I made up these little packets with my sister, and rather than 7 stickers, we gave 10. And we also did a premium pack where you got a guaranteed shiny. So we charged 15p for the pack, and then we charged like 30p for the guaranteed shiny. I went in with about 20 packs and sold out. Yeah. Came out with £3 and then went and bought a load more stickers. So I used to do little hustles like that as a kid, and that kind of carried on all the way until I probably started employment, really.
When you went to secondary school, did you have any hustles on the playground then?
Did I hustle on the
That was primary
playground
school,
in
innit?
secondary school? Cigarettes,
Cigarettes
that's
are so
hardcore.
common, 50p each, weren't it?
Yeah.
Pack for like £3.
3 for £1.
Chewing gums, breaking down the Wrigley's.
You could even sell twosies back in the day. You smoke half and give the other half away.
Mobile phones, computer games. I mean, rightly or wrongly, I've always been very, very good at doing deals. So, you know, as a kid, I would always swap one computer game and come home with 4, you know, and then the parents of the other kid would be hammering on my door. It used to happen frequently. Joseph's taken this amount of stuff off this kid for one thing, and my mum or dad would look at me, what have you been doing again?
Just hustle.
You know, some unsuspecting poor kids gave it away his brand new computer game.
Your
for
bedroom's
one
full.
that's 2 years old or something. Yeah, so.
How did you actually find school?
I hated school. I mean, my dad left when I was 13 and my life turned into chaos. You know, my dad was very, very strict. And so imagine having that for 13 years, being a rule breaker, becoming an adolescent, starting to challenge him all of the time because you're feeling stronger, you're growing up, you're becoming a man. And then all of a sudden, that disappearing. And still being the kid that wants to hang around with all of the older guys, that wants to stay out all night, that doesn't want to come home, that is naturally out in the marketplace, in a lot of cases looking for trouble and, you know, trying to do all of the things that you shouldn't be doing. So my life just turned into chaos and I just became this teenager that had no rules at 13 years of age. And that kind of translates very, very quickly into school, doesn't it? Then you have no respect for the teachers, you have no respect for authority. I had no respect for anybody that was my senior, except for the older guys that I wanted to kind of have as a kind of father figure or an older brother figure, because you lose that, don't you? So you're looking for that always, for somebody to impress.
Like a mentor,
And
I suppose.
you might be impressed in them doing the bad stuff, right? Not the good stuff. Yeah. So I was expelled from school when I was 14 and a half. Sorry.
What was the reason you got expelled?
It was an accumulation of constant rule breaking. You know, I would get off the school bus and then I'd get back on the other bus and go back to the village that I came from. Or I'd come in and I'd just walk out the class and I'd cross the road and I'd walk home. Or I would go to school with a bag, I wouldn't take my books. It was constant, you know, just abuse to the teachers. And, you know, at the time, getting expelled was the best thing that ever happened to me because I wanted to be out of school. I
think it's. I think the reason why it's important to hear that from, like, obviously from yourself, and so many successful people are the same. I think they wasn't that successful at school, wasn't that academic. Obviously, everyone's very intelligent in their own ways, but the reason I think it's so good to hear on things like podcasts, because when we started our personal development, when we start listening to podcasts or studying successful people, when you hear that, it resonates so much, and that's where most of your beliefs come from. Well, mainly when you're before 7, but after that, just through school. Yeah. And so then to hear other successful people that actually, it sounds like, you know, you was worse than me at school. So it's it's probably helps inspire a lot of people, helps people break their limited beliefs that if you didn't achieve too great at school, that you can't go on to have huge levels of success.
Just think how many young people leave school feeling like a failure. I mean, unless you become an A student, you feel like you're losing. And in actual fact, it's that grading that happens at 16 that I think sets people up for where they see their place in society as time goes on. You become a C student, so you will leave school at 16 thinking you're worth C grade money in the marketplace, or D grade money, or E grade money, or even B grade, right? It's not the A grade. But in actual fact, you know, the school system is set up to serve a certain type of character. And I remember when I was expelled, and I remember even coming out of the headmaster's office, and my mum was with me. She was just had enough of me. You know, I wasn't a good kid. I'm not proud of how I acted or who I was. But she looked at me and she was crying and she just said, Joseph, what are you going to do? You're finished now. That's it. Everyone's given up on you. Everybody that was trying to help you is now gone. You're out of school. You're finished. You're going to end up in prison. You know, all of these things they were saying to me. And I remember looking back at my mum and I said, don't worry about me. I'm going to be fine. You think this is going to define me? But I also came to realise very, very early on that the one person that was left in my life that cared about me was also had given up on me. And it was like a rock bottom moment where you say to yourself, which path am I going to go down? And it was a defining moment for me go this way with these bad kids and keep getting into trouble and you know the life that awaits, or go and sort yourself out, still enjoy yourself, but don't be bad and go and find a job, get focused. And that's when I went and found a opportunity with a local plumber, 25 years of age. He was the cool guy in the town, BMW he had, stunning girlfriend. And at the time, you know, plumbers, where we grew up, it was plumbers make loads and loads of money, £50 an hour, get a trade for life. You're going to, you know, be set up. And so that sounded like a pretty cool thing for me to do. So I approached this guy and I said, can I come and work for you for free for the next year? And when I'm 16, put me into college and start paying me. And then that's kind of my career into the plumbing and construction world. That's how it started.
Is that what you done? Did you work for free for a full year?
Absolutely. I mean, I just enjoyed being around the guy.
Yeah.
I looked up to him that much. He was very well respected in the area. So being associated with him gave me good kudos in the marketplace.
Yeah, I love
and it was good for my personal brand in the local town and village and stuff, right? So it got me a lot of respect. And actually, I really, really enjoyed it. And I went from this terrible student to this amazing employee that turned up and would work for 10 hours without complaining for free. And I just was a sponge that wanted to learn everything about this plumbing trade. And I think that goes to show the direct reflection of forcing kids to go to classes where they know they're no good at those subjects versus sending them into something that they're really, really passionate about and they're going to go on and excel.
It's quite interesting because in school, you feel like if you do go take a trades route, it's kind of for the dum-dums.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Because a lot of tradesmen make a lot more than the guys that go to uni.
I know, the game is changing. So, you know, without getting too conspiracy driven, university is a business and school system is a platform. It's a landing page. It's a pitch opportunity to ingrain a message into the youngsters that going to university is the be all and end all. You're then trapped into a level of debt. You fit into your place into society and they've got you by the short and curlies from day one. There's no money in sending people to the local regional college to learn a trade. There is 10, 20, 30, 40,000 pounds in sending a kid to some bullshit degree and making it aspirational and making the parents believe that if they don't go to uni, their kid's a failure, and making the kid believe that if they don't go to uni, their kid's a failure. So there's no money in the game. That's what it's really all about, in my opinion. But that's a deep level. But actually, you know, I think we're going to see a big shift in the way people see these opportunities. Everybody's waking up to university and how much, in the majority, for most people, it's bullshit and it's not worth, you know, the time and effort. And in actual fact, I think the new millionaires are going to be the people that go into the trade sector. The skilled shortage right now, you know, what youngster at 16 wants to now go into plumbing or bricklaying or electricians? Not many. They want to be YouTube content creator.
Yeah, everything's online.
Nobody would want to be a tradesman anymore. It's not 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago when we were in the game. So I think the world is changing, and that means a limited supply of people that can do the work. So demand increases. That means that they can monetize.
That's what they've had that in America. I see them talking about it on a podcast. I can't remember what state, but they're saying literally plumbers can earn a fortune out there. They said there's literally such a shortage. I think here currently we're okay, but definitely as we get into the next generation, like my friends, for instance, obviously I went into a trade. I started, literally my story was just, when I listened to your podcast the other day, it just sounded like listening to myself, but I did electrics rather than plumbing. But all of my friends are tradesmen pretty much, or a lot of them. And yeah, now we're at 25 years old. All the uni students have finished, come out. Yeah. Some of them still haven't got jobs, proper jobs. They're doing random shit. They're off, like, you know, traveling, comebacks, decide to go traveling again, and like nothing wrong with that, but it's crazy.
Yeah, just with university degrees coming and applying to have digital marketing apprenticeships with us now. Wow. So they've gone 2 or 3 years doing certain degrees and in really good subjects, but they can't get a job, and now they're coming back for 16 grand a year to be a digital marketing apprentice with us after going through all that study and taking all of that debt. Crazy
all that
stuff.
money,
you get these really intelligent candidates, and You're getting them at a great price, and you're teaching them really good stuff.
I read the other day the average.
So maybe it's not such a bad thing. I don't know. Good thing for you. Good thing for me. Yeah.
So the average salary when you come out of university, bearing in mind you get yourself in 60 to 100k worth of debt.
Yeah.
It's 30k a year.
Yeah.
Right, and they're paying that back for years and years and years. Whereas you can start a business and earn 30k in a month.
Absolutely.
If you work hard. So going back to when you were working for free,
yeah.
What was your vision back then? Did you always aspire to go on to bigger and better things?
So everything for me is a game of level up, right? I'm always chasing the next version of myself because the next version of you is where the next opportunity lies. I've never, ever settled for where I am. And that means that I'm in a constant state of chasing the next thing. And so my mission as an apprentice was to get to qualified. It was like, that's the game. Then you get to qualified at 18, you get the big bucks. Then I got offered the amount that they offered me, and it wasn't the big bucks, and becoming a gas engineer was the big bucks. So I went on a gas engineer's course. By the time I was 19, I was getting 50k a year, and that were the big bucks. And then after 2 years, that wasn't enough. And then starting my own business was going to get me to the next level. And so throughout my career, I've gone from apprentice to plumber to gas engineer to one-man band to CEO of a national business to now training these construction business. So everything is a constant game of evolution, and I'm always looking to reinvent myself to the next opportunity. I was saying to you guys before the podcast kicked off, I've tapped into this way of thinking that I wish I knew 15 years ago, and that's understanding the opportunity vehicle that you are in. I spent from 22 to 29 building a national plumbing business. I should have got out of that business way before, because my ambition to where I want to go to, a plumbing business is not going to take you there. Yeah. And my uncle said to me at 23 years of age, I remember sitting on a table with him, clear as day, and I said, Tim, this business is currently doing $500,000 a year and we're making $100,000 profit or something like that. I was like, but these small ticket jobs, these maintenance jobs, these services and everything else, I was like, it's chaos organising all of this. I'm never going to become a billionaire doing this. What am I going to do? Because all I know is plumbing. I'm a plumbing business owner. I don't know anything else. And he said to me, Joseph, to get to where you want to get to, it's a game of evolution. And you have to understand the vehicle that you are in. And he explained it in this way. So you leave your house, you get into a taxi. The taxi takes you to the bus station. You get out the taxi, into the new vehicle. It's bigger, it can travel further, and the bus takes you to the train station. Off the bus, onto the train. You then get onto the train, that takes you to the airport. You get to the airport, you get on the plane. And then if you're really ambitious, okay, you get in a fucking rocket ship and you go all the way to the moon. But at each stage of the game, each vehicle can take you in a different speed, in a different style, in a different way, okay, to a different place. And if you try and drive the taxi all the way to the other side of the world, you're going to get to the White Cliffs of Dover and you're going to put that taxi straight into the ocean. Yeah, so there's an art form in knowing as an entrepreneur and a business owner when to stop and when is the time to get out. And I took my plumbing business way bigger than it should have gone because I didn't understand how big certain business models should go, and I blew the wheels off that business.
So what's the answer to that? How do you understand when's the right time to get out? When's the right time to move on? We're entrepreneurs. We get shiny penny syndrome, which is you're chasing the next thing, you chase the next thing, you chase the next thing. But obviously, as people that want to live that life, want to go on to the next thing, the bigger thing, something, when's the right time?
So, brilliant question. And the answer is it comes with experience and trying to take the learnings from listening to somebody like my experience and other people's will assist. But you want to get out when it's 22 the hour. Yeah? Imagine this as a clock face. You don't want to go all the way to 12. Because when you've gone to 12, you've either maxed the value or you've blown it up. Yeah. And so another mentor of mine, he said to me, you want to get out, Joseph, at 22. Because if someone's coming to buy you, they've still got 20% still to add to the business because no one wants to buy it when it's at its ceiling because nobody buys profit effectively. They buy to add value in most cases to the company. And if things aren't going so well, okay, or if it's working at 22 the hour, pushing it that little bit further will overcomplicate things. So we came back from the new year, 2024, I have a business partner in Trade Mastermind. He's the back office guy, completely different to me, systems and process driven. I run the game. I always call the shots. And he kind of sits behind me as the COO to, deliver what it is that we're trying to create.
Sorry, that's currently?
That's currently.
How long's he been with you?
He's been with me. We've been partners in various businesses for about 10 years, but he's been in this business for 3 years. But I realised that Trade Mastermind, and I'm still on the same point, but I realised that the Trade Mastermind was getting to the point where Joseph needs to go 1,000 miles an hour. And I keep showing up every day and I'm changing everything. I'm like, right, we're doing this, we're doing that, change this, do that. We're launching this marketing campaign. And the 25 people that we have employed, they just can't keep up. They're trying to do what I set them last week. And by the time I've shown up, I've already got 20 new tasks for them to do. So Chris, his way of working and his aspirations are changing. And he doesn't necessarily want to go as far as I want to go. So we agreed that he was going to step in as the MD and I was going to step out. And that wasn't planned, and it happened kind of within the first week of January to allow Trade Mastermind to do its thing. So having somebody like that or finding somebody like that, I knew that it was the right time for me to step away. And I realised that there's only a certain amount of businesses that we can serve in construction. There's 300,000. And my eye is on the $1 billion prize. So I'm looking for the next market. And that's now why I've stepped out. I don't get involved in the day-to-day anymore. I've been out for about 6 weeks. It's been a very smooth transition. It's working well, which I'm really happy about because I get to come and do cool shit like this. And he has to stay at the office and run the business. And I get to focus on the strategy and the bigger picture, and that's eyeing up the next opportunity. So I think that experience this time from Impra has allowed me to realise that when something just needs to run its course and consolidate, you don't keep pushing it, even when you know you're causing more chaos than it's worth.
Yeah, so that's a great answer, very useful. So what about exiting a business? So like this, you're stepping away. I'm guessing you're still owning the percentage of the business. How do you make that decision? Do you think people should be in business for the exit, or do you think just being able to step away like that, run it at maybe a bit more of a board level, if you want to call it that, and keep the business flowing? How do you make those kind of decisions?
I think every business should be built to exit, and I think you should have the exit from day one in mind and get as close to that as you possibly can. You know, the main mission in any company is to become redundant, because until you become redundant, you don't have a business, you own a job. Mm-hmm. And, you know, one of my mentors said that in a room full of some quite successful business people, and I watched their faces drop and the realization kick in that in actual fact, they are their company. And without that transition from you being able to step away and the business work without you in it, you do effectively own a job, whether you like it or you don't like it. And I don't think many people understand exit strategy, and I think at least I didn't. I remember the first time I was 28 years of age, my business was doing $4 million a year, and someone said to me, "So what's your exit strategy, Joseph?" And I remember looking at him and I said to him, "What's a fucking exit strategy?" I was just working 14 to 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, building an empire. I didn't even think about the exit. And that was a mistake, because if you have a clear end goal and you begin with the end in mind, your judgment and decision making can be so much clearer. If your only mission is to just constantly build, well, to what end? And when do you get to a position where enough is enough? So, you know, that will help with the question that we had previously about when do you know enough is enough? And that comes from having kind of a clear end goal. So Impra wasn't a clear end goal for me and wasn't a clear exit. And I had to exit that business after 8 years of very, very hard work. I was forced to exit the business. I didn't choose to exit at that time. And in 2019, at the start of the year, I remember saying to myself, by the time this year is done, I'm either going to go bust or I'm going to sell for 50 million. Yeah. And I knew exactly what I was doing. I was about half the country at the time and I was ready to take it all. But I was sick of the business. I wanted out and I wanted to go on and do something else. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it one last 12 months and I'm going to give it everything. And I basically, in that 12 months period, made it a national business. We got to 100 staff. We operated in every major city in the UK, $1 million a month in direct sales. We were the largest independent boiler installation company in the UK. And then November 2019, We had an absolute disaster. We were expecting $1 million in sales. We had $500,000 in sales. It was a direct sales business. Leads were drying up fast. The winter was warm. Brexit was happening. People weren't buying. And my business was a cash machine. It was driven off the fuel of the direct sales to get to national. We didn't have millions and millions of pounds in reserve to stay there. And so the cash dried up. I was forced to find a recovery specialist that could take the business quickly. And I had to shut that business down with £2 million worth of debt. And I had to sell the brand, the assets. And my staff kept all of their jobs. And the customers kept all of their warranties and contracts. And then I found myself at 30 years of age in a position where I was effectively starting again. And that wasn't a glorious exit. Trade Mastermind will be a glorious exit, but that one wasn't. And this is the comeback, the unfinished business stuff. And I've got a great vlog on YouTube right now.
What was it like for you having to start again? I could imagine, because you done so well up until a certain point. Was it a confidence knock for you? Like, how did you deal with that?
So, throughout my 20s, everything I touched turned to gold. Yeah, JV from 22 years of age to 29 was on a fucking roll. Everything I said that I was going to do, I achieved, from, making the sales numbers, to expanding the company, to winning the Apprentice, to getting into Forbes in Europe, Forbes 30 under 30, launching a best-selling autobiography. I put a podcast out that went to #1 in the world in 2017.
Fire out sugar.
So again, Fire Lord Sugar, like multi-awards. And I just started to believe my own hype. And I thought I was an untouchable guy that was just going to make it through regardless of the circumstances. And I think the universe taught me a very, very valuable, albeit quite a harsh lesson. And it right hooked me and put me all the way back down to the bottom. And I think it was needed. I needed humbling at that time. And every great entrepreneur goes bust at some point. There isn't many that haven't. And in actual fact, it's in that failure that come the greatest learnings. And I think for the first, I would say 4 weeks, I felt very, very sorry for myself. I was, victim mentality. Why did this happen to me? I'm a good boy, done good. I've come from nothing. I've worked hard. I'm genuine. I didn't rip anybody off. There was no unethical behavior. I didn't steal anyone's money. This was just the consequence of the market changing, and it fucked me. And I remember my uncle saying to me, he was a great mentor in the early days, Joseph, there's one thing you'll never control, and that's the market. If it changes and your business is still doing the same thing, look at Blockbuster, look at Nokia, look at BlackBerry. They're gone overnight, these empires, right? Because the market changes, the way people buy change. And for the first few weeks, I hit rock bottom. I was very, very, very depressed. At the time, I'd literally just broke up with my partner. I'd left my home. I'd moved into an apartment. I'd moved towns. I was getting slated in the press. My business was gone. Yeah, so it was like everything just flipped upside down. And I was in bed one day, and I didn't want to open my phone. My social media was getting hammered, and all of the haters that wanted to see me lose got a very short window of satisfaction, because they ain't fucking laughing now, but they were laughing at the time. And Lord Sugar retweeted one of the articles. And it said, apprentice winner's plumbing business goes bust, 2 million, right? And he fucking retweeted it saying, you can't win them all. Yeah. And no joke, when I saw that tweet, the anger that hit inside hit deep. And it was the best motivation I could have ever asked for. I jumped out of bed. And I was like, right, you're going to publicly mock me like this, yeah? I'm going to fucking show you who I am and what I can do. And that gave me the spark to come back.
Yeah, that's what's got you to where you are now.
Absolutely.
So that's what
vengeance. Yeah, I'm still on a fucking mission to prove a point.
Have you reached back out to him and be like, look at me now?
I did 2 years later, yeah, I retweeted it. And at the time, we were doing about 250 grand a month.
So how old was you when you went on to the Apprentice?
25.
25. So you started your first business at 22.
22.
And that went on for 3 years.
3 years.
And then you went on to the Apprentice. What's the application process? Like, how do you get onto the Apprentice?
So my business was doing $500,000 a year, came into my house at January the 9th, 2015. And, excuse me, and I had a really shitty start to the year. I was working hard, I'd hit my ceiling, I was making money, but I was just miserable. I was working so hard, it was a stressful business. And I went into my home and I got my phone out, and Lord Sugar's autobiography, Lord Sugar's Facebook page came up, and it said final call for the Apprentice, 24 hours to apply. And if anybody in this room wants to apply, just so you know, I saw the call last night and it's 48 hours to the window for next year. So get on there and apply. This might be one of your signs.
It's worth it, yeah.
And I knew at that very moment, the universe, I'm a big law of attraction guy. I'm a big universe sends you messages and puts you in the right place type of guy. As long as you're conscious and you're ready to receive it and you know that it's there, then you've got to lean in when these opportunities happen to you. So I leaned in, and you believe me or not, I knew at that very moment I'd already won the show.
Love that.
I fucking knew, because it was my moment. I quit my job at the age of 22 and took out a £15,000 loan off the back of reading Lord Sugar's book. I don't know if you've heard me talk about that before, but I was so obsessed with him. Not in a creepy way, yeah, but I was like, maybe a little bit creepy, I don't know. I was so obsessed with him, right, and I wanted to do business with him. I used to tweet him in 2013, 2014, can't wait for a meeting, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And in actual fact, the papers after I won found an old tweet and said Joseph was secretly handpicked, and he called me and said, what the fuck is this that's out there? It looks like the competition has been rigged. I was like, I just used to tweet you back in the day, pretending we were going to meet. It's that's kind of wild though, right?
Yeah.
And so then they put you through the application process. Imagine X Factor, but everybody dressed in suits. Yeah, you turn up at a studio in London, thousands of people lined up. Everyone's got a fucking ego. Everyone thinks they're going to be the best. But I was smart. And I went and found a local apprentice candidate that had been on in Peterborough 2 years before. And I said, tell me what I've got to do. Yeah, what have I got to prepare for? The first thing that they ask you to do is they stand you in a room and they make you pitch for 30 seconds. And I'd been practicing this pitch, yeah, for weeks and weeks and weeks. I knew it was coming. Other people didn't know. So imagine all of us standing around here right now and I go, you've got 30 seconds, tell me who you are. Hi, well, my name's Steve and I'm an accountant from Birmingham. Beep, beep, buzzer goes off, you've lost your shot. I'm straight in like, my name's Joseph Valente, I'm the godfather of business. I'm going to show Lord Sugar an offer he cannot refuse. You see me, these candidates, they're already fired because I visioned Lord Sugar say, Joe, you're hired. And that was mine, and they looked at me and they were like, whoa, who the fuck is this guy? And I just came out of it, and then it was just various stages that you have to go through, challenges, trials, tests. I mean, when they go from 60 to like 2,000, you go into a room and they've got like 50 of you in this room, and it was brutal. There was all these big cameras, all the producers lined up, and they're like, right, line yourselves up in order of who's the best looking. I shit you not, yeah, in front of 50 people. I'm obviously charging to the front. I understand the rules of the game. And I remember I was battling with Miss Hong Kong. She was trying to get to the front. She was like, I'm way better looking than you. I was like, bitch, get out of the way. I'm going to win this competition.
Who won?
Me, obviously. I mean, I'll take her out. I'll take her legs.
Anything.
Mate, that's jokes.
I remember getting the call, and another really, really cool story is you have to go away when you get on the show for 9 weeks. You can't tell anybody where you're going, right? So you can only tell 4 people. You can tell your mum, your sister, your girlfriend, and the lady that worked for me at the time. But I had a dilemma. Do I leave my business for 9 weeks where I'm the main man? I get 1,000 phone calls a day. All of my clients call me. You know, I've got contracts with all these property management companies and stuff. And risk losing this business I've spent 3 years building for the chance that the expelled from school plumbing business owner goes on and wins the show, right? The odds, in most people's opinion, weren't stacked in my favour at that point. In my eyes, if I go on the show, I'm 100% going to win. But it still did, you know, the dilemma was, should I risk it or shouldn't I risk it? And I sat down with the lady that was 55. She worked for me 3 days a week. And I said, Debbie, listen, I've got this opportunity, but you know the score and how tough this business is. It's a 24-hour call-out, emergency call-out business, right? So we've got to be on hand. I need someone to run the business for me. And I don't want to ask you because it's a lot to put on you. She looked back straight away and said, Joseph, I know you're going to win. I'll 100% do it for you.
Yeah.
And she did it for me. And I went away. and I basically risked my business. But, in entrepreneurship, if you want to get to the levels of, whatever, you want to get to the next level, you've got to take these quantum leaps. And I don't think people take enough risk. Risk is part of success, and you've got to take big fucking risks if you want to get to the next level. And for me, it didn't feel like a risk. In some people's eyes, that would have been a massive one. But I've never been afraid to take these big risks. And even when I lost it all, I still approach every single day now with, I'm not afraid to go broke. The thing is, what you come to realise is that you acquire a certain level of skills where I can never go broke again. I'm too valuable to the marketplace. Too valuable. I could start a business tomorrow and make millions and millions of pounds. It's not difficult to do. I have the marketing and sales skills and the knowledge to package and sell now. So you can just never go broke. So you become indestructible to the marketplace.
They call it the millionaire mindset, don't they?
The millionaire mindset.
Yeah, that's it. So what's like a day-to-day like on The Apprentice when it's being filmed? Is it very much about the cameras, or are you very much in the bubble of the task ahead?
Well, they take your phone. They take your wallet. You don't get to speak to anybody in the outside world. There's no TV. You don't get to look at papers, no news. You kind of can't be influenced
Does it get
as
pre-filmed?
the rules of the competition.
Is it pre-recorded?
Pre-recorded,
week to week?
It's pre-recorded in April to June, and then they release it in October.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So, we showed up at this house, and we showed up at the studio, which is the Boardroom, and it was in like a random little studio. I remember walking in, and all of a sudden I was in the Apprentice reception after walking through these big roller shutter doors. Your mind kind of connecting with the TV. Then all of a sudden you're walking through a door and you're in the Boardroom in a warehouse. It's all like, partition fake walls, and there's big ceilings above you. And, either side of the Lord Sugar and Karen and Claude it was at the time, there's cameras all the way around that you don't see. Then it was just an incredible, Sugar was like this cartoon character to me. He just sat there, and it didn't even feel real that he was there. And I'm standing on the other side, and he's calling me Valentino, and it's like, so an average day to day was 16, 18 hours a day on the road. Intense. They keep you in the dark about everything. They don't want you to talk when you're traveling, so you're not allowed to, let any good stuff that you want to catch on camera. So it's long days, isolated, very tiring. They put you under huge amounts of pressure. The Boardroom days were a good 10 hours, and they kept you in a room with dark lighting for 9 hours before you went into the boardroom, and you had to sit in fucking silence. Yeah, you imagine everybody's absolutely petrified, especially on the losing team of going home. Just want to build the suspense. But what I came to realise was the process was so so brutal that after 2 or 3 weeks, the guys that were kind of the talkers of the game, or people that were employed in a lot of cases because they weren't used to the hours. I'd run a business of a tough maintenance company for a few years, so I was pretty resilient. They were just dropping like flies. And it was just constant challenges. One day you're launching a product, one day you're pitching, one day you're selling, one day you're doing this. So it really is a good test of character to see who really is the person that we can pick as a winner.
Am I right in remembering? Because I watched your season of Apprentice. Yeah. So even if it was a bit weird seeing you in real life as well. Is
that the Alan Sugar now?
Yeah, kind of.
You should check your tweets. You might be
I manifested this. And am I right in remembering? Because it was like 8 years ago, 2015.
Yeah.
Right? Your first episode when you was in a boardroom, you said how you read his book.
Yeah.
And then he quizzed you on it, didn't he?
Yeah.
I remember
that was in the... I'm glad you brought this up, because this was a fucking moment. So I read his book, like I told you guys earlier, Quit My Job. And throughout the whole process, I was telling everybody, I'm here, it's my fucking destiny, I'm going to win. This is already predetermined. You guys haven't got a shot, okay? This was all meant to happen. And then I would tell them that I'd read the book and everything else. So I came into the final 5, and I go into the interviews. Well, the Scottish guy, Mike Suter, completely unbeknown to me, suddenly whips out, he goes to me, so you've made a statement that you're here through destiny, blah, 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 and you've read Lord Sugar's book, and you quit your job and you started your business. Now that's either an incredible story, Joseph, or you're completely full of shit, and you're saying it to win the process. And I hadn't read the book since 2012. It's a book that thick. And he gets a copy out. And I was like, oh, shit. Yeah. I mean, I'd read the book once, but it was 3 years ago, right? It was a big fucking book. And all of the producers and all of the cameras that were sat behind it were like, oh my God, like this is the test, yeah? Joe fucks this up, he's out. Joe gets this right, he's won. Because then it just shows I'm a credible guy, right? Yeah. I'm a legit guy. And he came at me with the question, so who was Lord Sugar's first employee? Boom, his dad. Yeah. What was his first branded product? A lighter. Boom. What did he sell from the back of his car first? Aerials. Boom. And then he was like, he couldn't believe it, yeah? And I watched all of the producers behind the scenes. They kind of went from shock to just admiration. And I got all of the 4 questions right. And everybody was just like, wow, fair play. The guy's not a liar. Do you know what I'm saying? And that was incredible.
Yeah, because I remember watching it and I saw you smash it. I was like, oh, my man. Because watching it, I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, wow. Like, if he fucks this up, it's game over.
Because they always do stuff like that on the interviews. They try and, like, do some madness in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just put out anything, like, and prove you're a liar. So that's what they weren't expecting it to go that way at all, man, were they?
What I came to realise in that process, and this is a good tip for anybody, is to own your weaknesses and own your strengths. Like, they only win in that boardroom, that interview scenario, when they call you on something and you try and talk your way out of it. I remember when Linda Plant, she goes to me, Joseph, in here on your application form, it says you want the girls, the cars, and the money. Is that a legitimate statement? I was like, Linda, I'm 25 years old, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm single. I mean, what would you want at my age? And then she looked back at me and was like, fair play.
Honestly.
So it's like, as soon as you lean into it, they've got nothing. It's when you start, trying to bullshit your way out or you like change what you've said, like, own it. I said I wanted to be like Hugh Hefner. Yeah, and there's like, there's the shit that I wrote on the application form then, and I'm not going to go in the boardroom and go, no, I didn't say that. I'm going to be like, yeah, I do want to be like him. He's built a great business and he gets to spend lots of time with beautiful women. Why would you not want them? Do you know what I'm saying?
How much of the programs?
Fair play.
How much of the programs like fully just production, trying to get something out of you, like different takes of stuff, or is it just cameras all the time and they just obviously edit the best bits, or are they quite heavy on?
So nothing's pre-recorded, so everything you catch is real. So people say, but are you worried about how they're going to edit you? I say, well, that's just who I am. So they can't edit it because I'm not faking anything. It's like they can't edit me to look bad. If I fucked up, I'm going to look like an idiot. If I haven't, then I'm going to look good, right? So it's it's a legit way of filming. What they do have is a rule book behind the scenes that you don't know is there, as a viewer. And let's say, for example, you pick a brown colour for a girl's clothing line, as an example, and then they go, in the boardroom, you picked brown as a girl's clothing line. Why on earth would you do that? How stupid are you? Yeah? And in actual fact, you only got to choose from brown or green. Yeah, so they fuck you like that. Yeah. There's a rule book that the audience don't get to see. Because sometimes when you go, how could they be that stupid? You're forced to be that stupid. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What's your response to that, though? How do you respond to that sort of question? You say, well, you made me do that.
You're not allowed to say that.
Right.
Yeah, do you know what the producers tell you? Don't bring the rule book up in front of Lord Sugar because he won't buy it. And you're like, well, hang on a minute, this is a bit fucking savage, right? But
he knows exactly what's going on, doesn't he?
I understood that of course he does.
Yeah.
I understood the rules of the game, and for the first time in my life, I didn't challenge the authority. And for the first 24, 48, 72 hours, some of the other candidates started to smell a rat with this rule book and they felt like they were being set up. So people were like, kicking off at the producer, and I thought, keep your fucking mouth shut or they will get you out. They're going to, don't play the game. So my game was, they originally thought I was a joker. I had a similar haircut to how I have now. I had a mustache. I'm going in a 3-piece. I'm driving a BMW M3 convertible. I'm talking about Hugh Hefner. They thought I had no skills, right? They thought I was just this wannabe playboy guy. It was just all talk. And I knew I had skills. So I played that character well because they then didn't think that I was serious, right? So I let them see that on purpose.
It's good TV.
Then as the time went on, I specifically before the night of the interview shaved off my mustache because I slicked my hair back and changed the style, and then they pulled it on the interviews, and I kind of told the producer, I'm going to shave off my mustache. So they sent the camera crew to come and film it because I was writing their storyline for them, which was basically going to be this bad boy's done good. Yeah, we've taken this rough guy, and the apprentice process has transformed him into. So if you go on the final 5, you'll see me with a slick back hair, no mustache, and Lord Sugar goes, "Who is this character that's turned up today? You're so different." And I'm like, "Yes, Lord Sugar, I've taken your advice, and the apprentice has changed me," and blah 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 blah. It was like the ultimate play. The ultimate play. You got to be one step ahead in everything that you do.
Love that.
So what happened after you won?
Okay, so after I won, I mean, what a fucking experience. 25 years of age, 10 million people a week, you know, everybody wanted a piece. It was great. I got to go to all the best nightclubs in London, VIP, you know, I was invited to all of these events. All of a sudden, I was just, you know, hot property, and I fucking loved it. It was amazing. That little celebrity lifestyle was just incredible. I really, really enjoyed the buzz. What I found quite difficult was coming down from Cloud9 and just going back to running a plumbing business. I almost didn't want to. I just wanted to keep doing the PR bit and keep doing the buzz bit. But I didn't go for fame. I went for business acumen, knowledge, mentorship. I knew that business could support financially in the very, very long term, and that this 15 minutes of fame thing was going to last for a short period in most cases, unless you can lean in and find a way to kind of keep it going. But I also struggled for quite some time with the come down, and the come down was tough. Because imagine like putting an emphasis on something like, you know, when people, I don't know, for me, winning the Apprentice was like winning a world title fight or winning winning a Premier League. It's like the ultimate thing you could do in business. There's no other competition, right? So the buzz was so strong. And the come down was rough because I realized then that I wasn't going to get that feeling again. How am I going to get this feeling again anytime soon? Well, that's where I started to go on this mission and start to chase the books, the podcast, the awards, the Forbes. And I suppose that's the positive mission to go on. But I was always looking for something that could make me feel in the marketplace like I was the winner of The Apprentice. And still to this day, I haven't found that. And, you know, my next mission is to have my own business show. I want to take out Lord Sugar. Then I want to replace it. That's my next move. And hopefully that will give me that same buzz again one day of like doing something super big. But it's weird in business, right? Because we are naturally competitive and we want to compete, but it's not like any other standard competition. Granted, you can compete in the marketplace against your competitors, but it's not official, if that makes sense. Yeah. And the recognition doesn't stand. So I really, really enjoy that whole competitive element to the show.
We're now sponsored by the Manifestation app. The app was created by Robert Heisey, the UK's #1 unconscious mind therapist, and his team to allow you to visualize your goals, manifest your goals, and remember to be grateful for everything you have on a daily basis. This app will help you turn your dreams and your visualizations into a reality. Our discount code for the 25% is TMC Manifestation. Head over to the app and download it today. Back to the podcast.
How much do you get from Sir Alan Sugar, money-wise?
250 Gs.
Yeah, what's that go?
Within 7 days, the money was in the account.
Nice.
They were legit. So basically, I had a business, and my story was a little different. Right? So they usually start from scratch, but I sold him half of Impra, which I thought was pretty cool, seeing as I'd started it 3 years before off the back of reading his book. Millionaire buys half of a plumbing company. Billionaire. I remember when I started the Trade Mastermind, I was hitting out the message, I sold half my company to a billionaire, and he WhatsApped me, and he sent me a screenshot of something that I put on social, and he said, stop fucking saying that I bought half of your business. You won The Apprentice, and I invested that money into your thing. I was like, well, did we do it through a purchase agreement? Yes, we did. So technically, did you buy it? Yes or no? We didn't start the company from scratch, and he had to say yes. So I was like, I am going to keep using it.
Screenshot.
And so I think that was a pretty cool story. You got the money.
How did it feel when you got the money, when you just see 250 bags just?
I mean, it was pretty good. At the time, my business didn't have that money in the account, and so it was a big lump.
You had to pay tax on it.
You have to pay tax.
Oh, yeah, I'm tax on it.
Straight into the account. What they do though is they charge you back for the services that they tell you they're going to get. You're going to get as part of the mentorship. So like basically you effectively get he says his expert team. It's a team of financial guys, an FD, an accountant. You know, they work for him. They're not outsourced. They were charging me back like $3,000 a month for those services. And on my business at the time needed about $500 a month for the accountant. Then they were charging me $5,000 a month for his PR agency to manage my PRs. That was $8,000 a month. So in the first year, they raked back $80,000 of the $250.
No way.
But you know, listen, I don't want to sound ungrateful because I am very, very grateful for him picking me and giving me the money. It is what it is. But you know, I got the money. I didn't really know what we were going to spend it on. My business was evolving, it was growing. I didn't have an operating model that was scalable. I was a reactive maintenance business. And, you know, to get to a national level, I had to evolve my business. And I went into direct sales and installations. And that's the majority of the model that we teach now at Trade Mastermind is generate inquiries, have a product with a minimum of £1,000 order value. If you don't, the cost to acquire a customer is too much versus what you sell the product and service for. And that's why so many businesses aren't viable. You know, guys will know this running a marketing agency, right? Unless you get repeat business or a recurring revenue, then, you know, that cost to acquire can just outweigh the profit figure. And that's why so many small trades businesses work on word of mouth. Because if you had to pay a lead provider or an agency to generate you £100 job, on average it costs 20, 30, 40 quid a lead, regardless of the amount you sell it for. The internet doesn't care, does it? The algorithms don't mind. They don't make a cheaper lead because your product is cheaper. And so they just becomes a non-viable business. And so you're waiting for word of mouth reactive inquiries. So you've got no scalable, projectable, forecastable business model. So that's why boilers work well. Solar, you know, incredible market in solar. We're killing it with our training. You know, electricians coming in doing $100,000 a year. My biggest success story right now in solar is Chris Sadler, Kimbaltech. They're doing $190,000 a year. They're working on these kind of development projects. He had 4 or 5 electricians sending them out, doing work. You know, jobs were never finishing on time, wasn't getting money, and was never making a profit. And then now he's doing £400,000 a month in direct solar sales after 18 months of going through our program and learning how to, you know, evolve his business model, because he's gone from these little wire up jobs and stuff to a £15,000 fixed order value. And so he's upgraded his opportunity vehicle. He's evolved his operating model. And for anybody listening to this that's in business, you know, you don't just have to scale by selling more of the same product. Trade Mastermind did 750,000 in January of average order value products of 15K. Go back 3 years ago when I started TM, the average product was £1,000. So to sell one product, now we get 15 grand. I would have to have sold 15 of the same product only 3 years ago. So scalability comes from upgrading the products and services that you sell, as well as selling more of them. Yeah, if that makes sense.
So how did Trade Mastermind come about? What made you think, yeah, actually, that is my calling now?
Well, I'd spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on personal development since the age of 22. Yeah, I've been in the game for quite a lot of time. And I loved the sector. Yeah, I loved it because I've seen how much it changed me. Knowledge is power. If you're not invested in personal development, you will hit your ceiling. I mean, just ask yourself this question. When was the last time I leveled up? And if you look back over your career and you haven't leveled up for quite some time, you probably haven't learned any new shit. Yeah? So you got to read a new book, you got to go on a new course, you got to get a new mentor. And what you will come to learn is the more that you pay, and in most cases, the better the information. You know, I told you guys I just come from a meeting with a billionaire. I am going to be a billionaire, so I'm spending my time with billionaires. But I wanted to get into the personal development sector anyway. It looked like a really lucrative industry. Good friend of mine, Rob Moore and Mark Homer from Peterborough, they got a big property training company. I was watching those dudes, they had Lambos, Ferraris, and all this stuff, right? I'm like, this is a good game. And I like talking on stage, and I love to sell, and, you know I can help people. It kind of fits me, right? So, and I looked at my opportunities after Impra was gone, and I said, okay, I'm going to test. So I'm going to run Power to Succeed, and I'm going to run Trade Mastermind. So for 4 weeks, I ran back-to-back webinars. I tested all market, teaching sales, and I tested trade market, teaching lead gen and sales. And over that 4-week period, Trade Mastermind sold more, because anybody from the construction sector looking at my story that's got half a brain, okay, would say, that guy smashed it and he also fucked up, right? He's the guy to learn from, because I'd rather learn from someone that fucked up big plus smashed it than someone that's just smashed it. Because if they've only just smashed it, then their failure's coming. They just haven't had it yet, right? So failure's where the real value is. And that one took off. So I moved all business, and then fast forward 3 years, I'm about to enter back into it because I saw the riches are in the niches. Yeah, you've heard that before. Yeah. And no one was doing it in the construction sector, in personal development. And I knew that I could change the construction businesses because I'd evolved from tradesman to businessman. I'd learned how to market and sell. That's how I did millions and millions at Impra. I had a direct sales force, 50 national sales team that I built from scratch and made the model to £1 million a month. That's valuable, right, to teach out. So within 2020, go back to 2020, February 2020, I was doing these webinars. This one started to take off. In March, we were going to run our first event. We were running it at the Hilton. Okay, put it on in London. I put 10 grand in. Okay, it was a big investment after losing a lot of money at the time, and I needed this to pay off. What do you think happened on that day, on March the 31st?
Oh, lockdown.
Brexit.
They literally banned mass fucking gatherings. No, it's lockdown.
Lockdown.
Yeah? And I had 150 people registered at the Hilton at Canary Wharf and 10 people showed up. I managed to sell everybody in the room on £1,000 course.
100%.
And I got my money back. But the best thing happened to me. It forced me to go online. Yeah? And within 6 weeks, I was doing 25 grand an hour. Yeah, once a week on a webinar selling a sales and lead generation course to trade and construction business owners. So I'd gone from losing it all to making effectively 100 grand a month in profit because I had no overheads. From my Impra, I took my PA, I took a videographer, and I took one of our social media people. I knew if I had that little strategic team, because my PA was a very good all-rounder, my videographer for content and my digital marketer for distribution, us four could work the ClickFunnels, build the webinar, and get back on and get back going again, right? And so within 3 months, I'm making 100 grand a month. I'm back in the game fast. I reinvested all of that cash into Facebook, more ads, more exposure, more sales, looking for more opportunities. We went through the whole of lockdown, absolutely smashing it. My former general manager from Impra, I offered him an opportunity to join me to become my 50-50 partner. I pulled my best head of customer service out of Impra because that business, the people that bought that business, lockdown happened and it went down anyway. Because it just didn't survive. It wouldn't have survived. If I'd have waited 3 months, I would have gone bust because of lockdown, not gone bust because of financial. It's strange how the world works anyway, right? Because the construction sector shut down for quite a period of time. Yeah. So they ended up losing it anyway and shut the business down. So I pulled all of the best people, and for a period I was way overstaffed, but they were great people and I was loyal to them. They'd supported me for many, many years. So I wanted to protect them and I wanted to look after them, and I owed them a duty, and I was back in the game. So I was splitting my money with them much sooner, but I had a much bigger vision, and it's done very well to get to where we are now. But it's been a constant game of evolution, trial, test, and reinvest, and
love that.
Upgrade the business model, and continuing to smash it. And now we're making lots of profit. We've got 30 people.
What numbers are you doing now?
700,000 a month, 750,000 a month, about $250,000. I mean, our best month on record, 450,000 in net profit. That was November of this year.
Nice.
This year we'll make about 3 to 5 million, depending on how much I push it. From a net profit point of view, we'll probably do 10 to 12 million in sales, and that's just from the trade mastermind sector.
750k sales is fucking mad.
The thing is, I'm conditioned to Impra's numbers, so I'm not quite there yet. There's this thing called psycho-cybernetics. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
No.
But basically, right, a thermostat on the wall for a heating system. Yeah. If you turn it to 20 and it drops to 18, the internal mechanism kicks on the boiler and gets the temperature back to 20. Now, any great salesperson, Dr. Maxwell Schultz is the book. His name's similar to that. I forget exactly, but it's called Psycho-Cybernetics. And it's your internal mechanism. Now, we get conditioned to an income bracket. Yeah? And what will happen is that if we think that we are 100 grand a year maker, then that's where we'll set. And unless you're breaking it and you realise it, you'll always be there. If you're used to making $1 million a year, if you're used to making 10 million a year, if you're used to making 100 million a year, naturally my psycho-cybernetic mechanism is kicked in to get me back to 10 million. Yeah? And that mechanism is what people have within them. Like, you know, when you get a salesperson that just converts at 30% consistently each month, every month, they never beat it and they never get beyond it. Even if they got 3 days to go, they find a way to do it. And that's that universal psycho-cybernetic law that allows their mechanism to kick in and say, you're a little bit behind where you should be, and it brings you back in.
Mate,
it's
it's
a real
so true.
crazy shit, right?
Yeah.
But it works.
Yeah, it's so true. And I feel like a lot of salespeople have limiting beliefs. And if they're comfortable earning 5K, they'll only ever bill, say, 50K if they get 10%.
Yeah.
Right? You clearly have an amazing sales structure within your business. Could you talk to us a little bit about that? Like, what do your sales team and what do you train? What's different to other sales floors or businesses?
So what I always do in my company is I prove the process. So we were joking yesterday because I've got a big event on tomorrow, and we were looking at the slideshow and the presentation. And in the personal development world, you give away 3 secrets in any webinar or any first initial discovery day. And there's a whole structure to how you put it together. And we were going through the slides, and I was adapting the trade mastermind ones to suit the millionaire mastermind ones, because there's a sales conversion process built behind the information, right? And I was looking at it and I said to these guys, you know what's funny? I built these slideshow in 2020, and now we've done nearly 10 million through this basic slides, and it's almost the same structure I used when I read Russell Brunson's book, Expert Secrets, which effectively teaches you this model. I read a book and built a personal development business off the back of this book, right? This £10 book.
Right,
so
what's
not
it
every
called?
information you need to spend 100 grand on the mentor. But
What's it called?
It's called Expert Secrets.
And that, because that's what I was about to ask, you were skipping through that part pretty quick as if it's normal. So those slides with the structure, that's where you mainly, obviously, I'm sure collectively with everything else, is that where it breaks it down?
Absolutely. So that's that. In that book, it will break it down and teach you how to do it. But the slideshow that I use is one that can be rolled out to my sales guys. So I don't go to any of our events. The 750,000 we did in January, Joseph was not there at all.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't get involved in the business. I literally stepped out, and then we've got a head trainer, we've got 5 or 6 salespeople, we've got a team of bookers that fill the events, and it's just a perfect, repeatable week. Yeah, it's a good process. That's why it was good for me to step out now, because it's profitable, it's manageable, you know. And Joe comes in, and all he does is try and push more out of it. I'm greedy. I'm always trying to get more out of the same thing rather than just let it be and let it do its thing. So you've got to get a process that you know converts. Once you've got a blueprint, people bring in a salesperson and then they go, here's my product, and then they get the salesperson go off and sell it their own way. You know, I've hired maybe 400 salespeople in the last 10 years, and at Impra, I went out and sat, 500 appointments and made the process of how to close deals in the home and how to sell my product to my brochure, and we were the most expensive in the market. So if you didn't sell the exact same way that I told you to sell, you would lose. And you'd get these old dudes coming from British Gas, and they're like, who the fuck are you at 26 years of age telling me to sell? I've been in sales 30 years. I say, you've got 1 week. If you don't do it the way that I have told you how to do it and change it, you will not succeed here, and I will fire you, okay? If you listen to everything I tell you to do and forget everything you've learned, then you will succeed here and make loads of money, right? And some used to hate me for it, and the ones that love me for it smashed it, but you've got to make the blueprint. Then what you've got to realise is, sales growth in most sectors, unless you're doing digital sales online, come from multiplying the revenue producing asset. So if you're the business owner and you're driving all the business, that's as far as you're going to go. So how do you make 10 Joseph Valentes? Well, you hire more salespeople, and then you need a market where you can generate enough leads, and then you've got to spend the fucking money. Yeah, and not be afraid to spend on marketing, because how many of these businesses spend 500 to $1,000 a month on marketing? What are you going to achieve for that? What do you expect to get off the back of that? Yeah, you got to triple down, 10x, 100x to spend, because your sales will be in direct proportion to the amount of money that you spend on marketing. Spend $1,000 a month on marketing, you'll do 100 grand a year. Spend 10, you'll do $1 million. Spend 100, you'll do 10 million. I always like to say 10% of marketing budget in most sectors, service-based businesses, will be a 10% of your overall 100% of sales, right?
Well, so I'm going to jump in at this because I've got 101 questions anyway. So But so I'm at that point, right? So I know if I say it from my point of view, I know there's going to be listeners that will resonate. So it's probably the best angle for me to question you on. So obviously I've got the construction business. These boys fortunately run my ads. We're about up the spend slowly, but trying to get it to sort of the 10K a month and go through that. I need to walk into not giving you a sales pitch without even walking straight in. I told you when I got here, I left my credit card at home. No, but so the sales, so everything you just said, the marketing, you got to spend, I get it. Making sure the content that you push out is good, I get that.
Yeah.
The sales, I get that. Then, I mean, you obviously yours was maybe slightly different, but I guess doing a national business, there's still huge operations. So for me, for example, if I'm doing a larger project, I'm engaged with that client probably anywhere between 6 months to 12 months time. You know, if you're spending 400K to do a full renovation extension, et cetera, et cetera. So I can advertise, I can market, I can sell.
The problem, and I can cut in and give you the answer immediately. What you've currently got is an unscalable operating model. You currently have projects that are too big to fit a direct sales and lead gen model. Yeah. And if you're stuck on a project for 6 to 12 months, how many of those can you win and churn? Because you're limited by the amount of resource that you're going to have to do those projects. Now, if I was you're an electrician, right?
No.
No, you're not.
So I started as that.
What do you do now? What you got now?
So design and build. So we do sort of fairly high end renovation. So let me give you a quick story. So we started as that, wanting to get the larger projects, realized that. Didn't want to get rid of these because they're good projects, nice clients, etc. So we took a subsection being bathrooms. We do the design, supply, and install. So they're still, but they take 3 to 4 weeks. I've got an interior designer that designs more. I've got a project coordinator that oversees them. I'm trying to build that model now where we can hopefully, we'd start 1 a week currently. That's 50 a year. I think I can get that to doing hopefully in the hundreds a year. And then I want to take basically... My current view is I want to take that model and do it in different sections, like solar.
Have I got a reputation for being a salesman?
No, but like
I need to sell you.
No, I'm joking. But like subsections, like the bathrooms,
directly,
like solar. Outhouses, these smaller sections that I think I can replicate the model and then end up getting a sales. Because right now I would not have someone go and sell on my behalf for a £500,000 job. Because I just wouldn't trust anyone. I wouldn't want to train someone.
We were talking this morning about, and Richard Harpin was the guy that I told you about, right? And he was going through his 8 principles of building $1 billion business. And he said one of the principles, principle number 2, was copy and pivot. And in actual fact, it's the blueprint that other people have created for a successful business model that you want to replicate. And you've got to look for those scalable, systemizable, sellable models. And they work when they're simple and you can drive systems and processes behind them. That's why I like in the construction sector specifically, the smaller boilers, fast turnaround, 1 to 2 days, solar, fast turnaround, 1 to 3 days, bathrooms, fast turnaround, 7 days. Okay, 3 weeks, I try and condense that using multi-skilled trades guys rather than all trades if you're using them, because the operational coordination is costly, slow, longs out the fucking project. So we've worked with a number of bathroom businesses. And one of the things that I changed immediately, this is when I used to do 1-to-1, but I'll give you it for free. But I changed immediately in this guy. It was taking him 2 weeks to complete a project and he was using tile as an electrician. I said, go get a fucking multi-trade that can do all of that and you'll wrap these projects in 7 days. Average order value, 15 grand, 50% margin. Taught him how to generate sales leads from third-party lead gens and on Facebook. Then we put in a sales team, 2 or 3 sales guys, and then he took a step back, run the business. He's now got sales guys selling. He's got multi-trades fitting, and he's got it wrapped into a really nice model. And then it becomes scalable. Look at Wren Kitchens. That's your blueprint in kind of the retail bathroom space. But solar's a great market for it, and pivot's important. Like if you're going in the direction of building these big projects and you like doing them, that's different if it's passion, but it's a difficult business to scale. Those independent businesses that do that, it's hard to grow, not because you can't do it, just because the mechanics of how the model is made up makes it almost impossible to make a systemizable, scalable and sellable model. And you've got to have real skill to lock them projects down and make sure they work on time and everything else. So if you want to grow and you want to scale, don't be afraid to let go of what once worked, but it won't always work. So you've got to evolve, your model's got to evolve, you've got to shed the old way of doing things, and you've got to look for the new opportunities. And again, it comes back to the opportunity vehicle thing. Ask yourself, can you scale it? The reality is no, but you can scale the other stuff. And then you've got to decide whether you're doing your business for passion and profit or just for profit.
Yeah. In terms of your actual, so not what you teach, but your business. So I'll give you an example. In my Sam's business, marketing, like we want to scale. We understand ads because we run adverts for people, but it's obviously a bit nervous. Like we could go and spend 10 more on ads. Yeah. But then it's like, how do you control the scalability on the operational side so it doesn't fucking fall apart? Do you know what I mean?
Okay, good question. First and foremost, you got to do ready, fire, aim. Yeah, and the concept is you're ready, everyone's ready, pull the fucking trigger and work it out after. Yeah, is the honest answer, right? Yes. You got to make some chaos and then fix it. Growth is about creating chaos, yeah? And imagine that we're sat in one of those clay workshops, yeah, that make the beautiful vases, right? And it don't start out a beautiful vase. What it starts out is lumps of fucking brown, mud-looking clay. Yeah, and we got to get some of that shit, and we got to put it onto the wheel, and we got to lump it on, and we got to lump it on, and we got to lump it on, and we got to lump it on. Then we got to start spinning the wheel, and we got to start molding it into a beautiful vase. We got to cut some off, we got to trim some down. You know, we got to play the thing, and you got to change the shape, and you got to play with it, and you got to keep working it. And that's what business is all about. You'll never build perfect, and growth creates chaos. You've just got to be good at underpinning the chaos and understand that, you know, scaling will create problems. Problems are bottlenecks. Bottlenecks that get fixed allow for a smoother operation across the board. Your business, you know, you are the lead generators. You've got the skills to generate the lead. You've just got to lock down the scalable service. And then, you know, really understanding what your service is and finding something that's not so skill heavy and more product based in a service based industry is the art form. Yeah, where it can become as simple as possible to be able to sell it and grow. But you can generate the leads. You know, if you don't have a problem with the sales, then one of you that's most operational out of the business needs to be the guy that takes a step into that role and focusing on building the systems, the processes, and the procedures within the organization. And you go through documenting those processes and procedures and underpinning it. But also know, in a fast-paced growing business, you'll write a procedure one day and it might by lunchtime be redundant. You know, things change that quickly, but people get disheartened that, you know, they made a process that no longer works. That's the game, that's the buzz that you've got to enjoy if you're going to scale.
What about hiring? Like how to know when to hire the right people?
In my hiring experience has been just pull the trigger.
Do you
What's
go
the
for
worst that can happen? You just got to pull the trigger. Everybody's so worried about hiring the wrong person. I'm worried about not hiring anybody and then not knowing whether they're going to work out or not because they're not there. You know, I remember going through Impro and hiring finance directors, sales directors, marketing directors, all these people. I was a plumber. I was a young 25-year-old. I wasn't used to hiring these people. I didn't even know what these departments were. Do you know what I'm saying? So you're like literally hiring somebody and just pulling the trigger and they're almost mentoring you coming into the role. And I used to say in Impro, it took me 3 times to get the right person. I'd fire usually the first person was a quick hire and I'd work out very quickly they weren't the person that I wanted, so they were gone, right? The second person was a better version of the first person, but still there was some stuff that I needed to fix there. They were gone. Then by the time I got the third person in, I knew kind of all the characteristics, the traits and the skills that I needed, and I just move at a very, very quick pace. Just pull the trigger. Hire fast, fire faster. You can't be afraid to get people out quick. And, you know, sometimes I've hired people and by lunchtime I know that they're not going to be right.
I've got my mum coming back.
Literally. Sometime before induction. I remember one guy turned up. I hired this one guy. What did I hire him to do? I can't fucking remember what it was, but it was like, it was a senior role and he turned up in jeans. And it was his first day. And then, like, I had about 3 interviews with this guy. I said to him, what on earth are you doing? Not that you're wearing jeans. I said, why no disrespect to jeans, right? Yeah. In my business, senior position, you wear a suit. And he turned up in jeans. I said, what are you doing turning up in jeans? He had some random jacket on. He had some jeans. So I fucking sent him home straight away. I said, it ain't going to work out. He said, what, just because of my outfit? I said, abso-fucking-lutely. If you've got this wrong on day one, yeah, I can't train you, right? So you should already know. See you later. You're out.
I loved you've started your new TikTok page. I was watching the videos for Unfinished
funny.
Business. It's fucking jokes. I sent it to these boys and said, mate, he's ruthless, but I love it. Like, I agree with it. I was just watching the videos there, like in a TikTok black hole, but it's a rabbit hole.
How many people do you reckon you fired, or like
I've
similar
hired nearly
situations?
1,000 people in the last 20 years. Yeah,
Wow.
hired. I mean, I've currently got 35.
So do the maths. 970.
Yeah, 970. That's the record. We got a high turnover of staff.
That's great.
People are worried about high turnovers of staff. They're like, but what about if you get a reputation for firing people fast? I said, what about if your business goes bust? Which ones do you want? Yeah, because you hold a load of average people that can't do the job. They're going to drag you down faster than, you worrying about what the other person said to the other person in the local town. Yeah, so you got to get people out quick if they can't do the job. It's not ruthless in my opinion. It's just you're protecting the ones that are good. Yeah, you got.
So I feel like one bad person can sink a ship as well,
Absolutely.
man. Especially if they're negative, it spreads like the
Massively.
fucking plague.
Yeah,
It really does.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you got a lot of your kind of ruthlessness from being in partnership with Lord Sugar? Would you say?
Some of it, yes, 100%. I mean, he was ruthless to the core, beyond anybody that I've ever met. I mean, it was a culture shock for me. I'd never met anybody that intimidating, and I was a young guy that was very confident, but he intimidated me, and he's a small dude, right? But he just puts the fear of God into you. It's just his aura. And, I remember walking into the boardroom in the first day, and he was facing the computer, and he had, he had some Fox Business News on, and he was on his computer, and he was doing something. And then in comes Joseph, right? First board meeting, no cameras on, can't wait, really excited, overly enthusiastic. Morning, Lord Sugar, how are you? Really excited getting started, can't wait to see you. He didn't even look me in the eye, and he went, sit down. And I was like, oh, fucking hell, but secretly I kind of liked it. I was like, I know what I'm dealing with.
Serious.
I'll tell you this, that was pretty funny as well. I won the show on the 23rd of December. Yeah, it was such a great time around Christmas. So fast forward 2 days, it's obviously Christmas. So I went to my mum's, had a little cheeky champagne in the morning, right? And I was feeling a little bit tipsy, so I thought it was a good idea to email him and thank him for picking me on the show. So I just emailed him saying, listen, thank you very much for choosing me. I'm not going to let you down. This is my moment. I've been waiting to, I really knew I was going to win this, blah, 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 blah. And he emailed me back on Christmas morning saying, never send me an email like that again. if it's not in bullet point format, it's going in the bin.
What did you tweet
I was
about?
like, whoa! Say that
You
again.
tweeted about, I don't know, wanting to be like a billionaire and something. He said, don't fucking be tweeting that or something like that.
Yeah, so I went into one boardroom and he, after everybody left, he said, stay behind. I was like, cool, what are we going to talk about? And he came over to me, close to my face, and he said, who the fuck do you think you are? Yeah, like really nastily. Like, who the fuck do you think you are? I said, what do you mean? Yeah, I was shocked. And he said, you're here to run a business. You're not here to be Mr. fucking Motivator. So you focus on your business and you stop going on social media saying you're going to do this and you're going to do that, blah, 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 blah. I didn't pick you to do this. I picked you to focus. And he was really, really savage. And I remember just thinking, wow, that was not what I signed up to. I don't mind, him kind of guiding me, but I'm not here to be...
Told what to do.
Told off.
He wanted you to be his employee by sound.
I know, basically is what it was.
Yeah.
And that's not how it worked. I remember one time it was super awkward. Yeah, imagine a setup like this, and we were doing a PR photo shoot. So I turned up there again, positive attitude, really happy. And I remember sitting there and looking like this, and we were smiling. And it was a shot where they told us to look at each other, and there were the camera people in the room, and something happened in a nightclub. Yeah, about like on the weekend, and there was some story that was going to come out and everything else. And I can't remember what it was exactly, but he wasn't happy about it. Yeah, and I looked at him and I was smiling, taking the picture, and under his breath, in front of everybody, he goes, "I'm going to wipe that fucking smile on your face." And I was like, whoa! Again, yeah, and I was absolutely bricking it. And I was shitting my pants thinking, what on earth have I done now?
Sounds like you were always in trouble.
Yeah, it's kind of like a naughty schoolboy.
It's like once a month you go visit. It's like going to the headmaster's office.
When you want report, innit?
It literally was.
How beneficial was his actual mentor? Obviously, the whole press with the show and obviously kickstarting that side, but his actual mentorship, what you've learned from him, how beneficial has that been?
I think one of the biggest things that he taught me was, understand your margin. And I know that sounds really, really simple, but in a lot of cases for most business owners, it's not. And we set out, especially as construction business owners, and you're just selling all of these products and services and different types of products and services. And, you don't really quantify the profit numbers in a lot of cases because you're so busy on the tools, just working hard, right? And we were doing loads and loads and loads of jobs, so many maintenance jobs, and it was great turnover. But was there any profit to it was the question. And I wasn't sure because I wasn't on top of my accounting, and I was just always about doing the activity like many businesses are. And he taught me that, and that made me really start to delve into the numbers. The thing that I took most from it was understanding accounting. And again, it sounds silly, but most business owners don't understand the numbers. I used to go to the accountant once a year, walk in, he'd put a bit of paper down, all your accounts, he'd talk me through the documents. I didn't really know what they were. I said, did I make any money? Yes or no? I'd sign it, and then I'd go back to work, looking in the rear view mirror. Well, they had such a good finance team, and they were so on the numbers. The first board meeting we ever had, they put a financial pack in front of me, a P&L, a forecast, a balance sheet, and I didn't know what I was looking at, right? And I managed to blag my way through the numbers and come out of the board meeting. And if you make a fool out of me, you're only going to do it once, right? Because I will go away and I will make sure that it never happens again. And so I left straight away, and I'm like watching every video I can on accounting to learn about what accounts was, so I could go back the next meeting so it didn't happen again. So I got huge value from properly understanding numbers, KPIs, digging into the detail. And so that's become a real good part of my leadership and ability to be able to make informed decisions rather than just those entrepreneurial gut feels. Because gut feels are good and they will get you to a certain level, but then you have to change the gut feel to information, fact, number-based decisions, because you've got cash flow to think about, you've got profit to think about, you've got all of the stuff to think about. So that helped. So understanding your numbers, okay, and really, really getting on top of the numbers. But in terms of the mentoring for building a service-based national plumbing company, they couldn't help me. They didn't know about business.
Probably in that sense.
They didn't know about that business. They knew about manufacturing and technology. I needed a me back then, who I am now, to help me, that understood how to do it and knew the sector inside out. It was like really funny because I was listening to the guy earlier, again, this Richard Harper guy, been trying to get a meeting with him for so long. And he built HomeServe, and he knew, he was talking my language, trade, construction, maintenance plans, this was his bag. And I thought, if I'd have had you in those years, things would have been a lot different. Because the guy knew the market inside out, and Sugar didn't. So it's not that he couldn't give me the advice, it's just that he didn't have the knowledge in that sector. And great lesson that came from that was, don't just go with a mentor because they know business. Go with one that knows your niche first and foremost. Let's go with one that knows your sector.
What are you working on now then? So you said you got the mastermind. No, not the mastermind. Sorry, the
Millionaire.
Yeah, so Millionaire Mastermind is kind of a passion project for me. It's a business that I started off the back of our clients in Trade Mastermind doing so well. Personal development's about creating the next opportunity. And, I went to a mastermind. I'm a big mastermind guy anyway. I invest lots of money in personal development, a couple of £100,000 a year personally. I spend a couple of £100,000 on our teams training every year across the business, and I went to a mastermind and I sat in a room for very successful people, and I thought there's an opportunity here to teach these business owners beyond teaching them about how to build a business, but how to invest to be able to create wealth. And I have a very, very high profile network. Okay. I'm not experts in all of those fields, but they are. And I'm a good connector. So I have the client base, I can connect the people, and I can be a good middleman, right? I can put the people with the product or the solution effectively, because people don't buy products, they buy solutions, right? And so I decided that I was going to launch this mastermind. I sold it out in 4 weeks back in 2022, £500,000 done, cash up front. And I ran the first year. It's very, very successful. We taught property strategies, trading strategies, partnering strategies, brand building strategies. Okay, you name it, I brought a speaker from that vertical. And this year, I've decided to level that up, yeah? And I went from kind of average cost of a speaker being £5,000 an hour to the average cost of our speakers being £50,000 an hour. Yeah, I got Karen Brady, James Kahn, Ant Middleton, Alfie Best, and some others. And we've evolved the product. We've got 10 mentors now that are high profile. The mentors that were the speakers last year are now the mentors that are there for the whole 9 hours for the day every single time, and they're in the WhatsApp group. So I've made a tier above, and people pay £15,000 to be part of it, to be able to get access for the year. So it's priced very, very well. Like I said, I put $500,000 into this to set it up and just make it amazing. It's a business, but it's also a passion project. It's great for my personal brand. I'm on stage, I'm the interviewer. It's in a very, very amazing location, 360 panoramic view of London. So that's good. So we're driving that. You know, for me in business, it's not what you know, it's not just who you know, but it's what they know. And so me connecting with these people and giving them a platform to talk to my audience creates value for me and them. So I'm building my high net worth network. You know, I want to get in rooms with billionaires because I'm going to be a billionaire. I understand the rules of the game now. We're moving into all business because the market in construction, like I said, we've not hit our ceiling, but if we keep pushing it, we're just going to keep stretching it too far. So why not go into a market where there's now loads more leverage of the 5.4 million SMEs in the UK? There's about 4.7 million that are right for our training and our product and service. And what we teach, believe it or not, even though it has such great results for the construction sector, it's not product specific in a lot of cases. We wrap it up against those business models, but it's just general business training. Because the thing that changes in most business is the product, but the rest of it is the same principles, right? You guys know that. Marketing, sales, finance, recruitment, HR, systems, processes, CRMs. It's all kind of much of a muchness. And I'm on a big PR journey right now, trying to build my personal brand again. I'm running a project called Unfinished Business. I started it in June, and I said, you know what? I've read some great books over the years of the Steve Jobs and the Napoleon Hills and all of these books that have kind of documented these journeys, but we don't live in that time anymore. And if I wake up at 60 years of age, a multi-billionaire, and I write a fucking book, I haven't done the 21st century justice. So I've hired a videographer. I've had a videographer following me 5 days a week now for the last 3.5 months, all day, every day, capturing everything. And it's been the best content I've ever made. I've enjoyed it so much because I just get to be Joseph. I don't have to play up for the camera. I'm not having to sit there and read a fucking script. You know, do you know how many times I try to make content just to churn shorts or do whatever? It's just bullshit. I wasn't passionate about it. Talk about this, talk about that. And Unfinished Business is doing really, really well, so I'm enjoying that. It's almost an indirect way to promote my services, to share who I'm about. I want to get back on TV with my own show, but I also want to document the comeback. Yeah, and I think that's really important because I'm on a big, big comeback now. And so, yeah, I'm excited about that.
What would your advice be for building, obviously I know you had the Apprentice and stuff like that, but what's your advice? Like we want to, or I know I want to, I know Sam's been quite keen on it. I'm not too sure. We all kind of started, but want to really build the personal brand. That's why we started the podcast initially.
Yeah.
It was an easy way. We all wanted to start getting in front of camera. None of us had.
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to always have a podcast in the future. It's in my notes since I was sort of when I first started business. Then we thought, you know what, fuck it, let's start it now. It's only going to help us along the way the sooner we start. So that's been going, nearly a year now, or since the idea started anyway. Then came the TikToks, started posting on the TikTok, started doing some personal videos, going to start pushing it massively through my own business and just getting myself out there as much as possible in that way. But what's some advice around it?
I've been playing with the content game for years, and you know, I'm no expert at it. I use content very well in my business to generate good business, but I'm definitely not, you know, the best content creator on the planet. I think one of my biggest mistakes I ever made was not documenting straight from 2015 and going onto YouTube and Insta and all of that type of stuff then. I left it for ages, years and years and years, because I was so fixated on Impra. I didn't build my personal brand. You guys have got to build your personal brands. There's so many ways to monetize your personal brand, so many opportunities. So do it now and get consistent. But personal brand is about being personal. You know, why I think Unfinished Business is doing well is because I'm just being me. I'm not trying to be somebody else. I'm not trying to talk on things that I don't understand. I'm not trying to speak on subjects that I don't care about. So it's authentic, it's real, and I'm just being real, being personal. Then I think what's worked for us, and our views are compounding. We're getting, in the YouTube world, it's minor, but in my world, it's incredible. And you know, we've been going 18 weeks. We're getting about 2,500 views an episode on YouTube right now, consistently. And so that's been some good growth over that period of time. I was saying to my team yesterday, at this minute, we're in a very cool stage where every week it's like 1,000% growth, because an extra 500 views is like double, right? Yeah. So, you know, it's been consistent, 18 weeks. It's the first time I've stuck to any content for all this time. I've launched 3 podcasts. I promoted them all to #1 on Apple, and then I fucking sacked them off because I went to only get a screenshot saying I could get a #1 podcast. I didn't do it because I cared about doing a podcast at that time, and that's just me being honest.
Completed it,
but
mate.
Completed it. Yeah. But Unfinished Business, I'm passionate about. And then you got to get consistent. Be personal, be authentic.
It's real. It's like real content, isn't it? Because
you're
getting followed all the time. You're not trying to like make stuff.
I personally really enjoyed the one where you're kind of shouting at your staff because there's cuts everywhere and you had new starters, and like people might watch that and think, oh, he's being an arsehole. But I'm watching it and thinking, I actually get it.
Let's implement it.
I mean, Lee knows I move crazy if he leaves cups around. We had a bit of a bargain on Friday.
Right, I go absolutely savage sometimes. I mean, they're lucky that I'm not in the building anymore because I'm quite soft now. I was saying we've got to go back in there and kick some ass. Like, that's what everybody wants to watch. It's like Ramsey's Nightmares. We watch it because he ruins the guy, right? It's not because he's his mate and he's like motivational and inspirational. First and foremost, we want to see someone get absolutely destroyed.
1,000%.
So
we'll leave your social media tags on the YouTube for anyone watching on YouTube. But for those tuning in on like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, how can they find you online?
Instagram at Mr. Joseph Valente, but the YouTube's the one I want you to go to. So at Mr. Joseph Valente on YouTube. Yeah. Nice. And then just quickly before we finish, just while we're on this content game, I was going to say one more thing, is understand what the content's for. Because Unfinished Business is not for money right now. I'm doing it for personal brand and I'm doing it for legacy. My ads, however, generate me hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of sales and profit. So that's a different ball game. So making content for your personal brand, you can't monetize immediately. Making content for your business, but being the face will grow your personal brand and it will also grow your business. And that's the place to start first and foremost. You know, you could do lead generation and you could do brand building. And lead generation is the one that you need to focus on first if you want revenue. Brand building comes second when you got kind of that excess money to chuck off and put it into that stuff, because it's a longer term strategy.
Unlike what we're doing with the podcast, because we don't make any money from the podcast. Like, we're just using the money.
We lose money.
It's like so expensive. I didn't know how much goes into it, you know. But it's we know that this is going to take us far.
Keep going. You guys are cool guys. Yeah, you're going to do good stuff.
Yeah, love that.
Thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Good episode, Joseph.
Well done, guys.
Right, Joe, get your credit card out.
Thank you very much.
That's it.